I was, yeah. Well, so, hey, welcome to for anyone tuning in right now. We're live on about 5 channels and Twitter and three different Facebook channels and a Twitch channel. And they all typically pick up a few viewers. So I was, when Stewart joined, Angelica, I was banging away at a response.
Can you rephrase on his keyboard? That is on his keyboard, not literally.
So I've been a fan. You know, I've been a fan of this channel called Team Yahawashai, 8 Awake Souls on YouTube, and I've often tuned into them, and I thought they were good people, and I've seen that they've had some friction with some other flat Earth channels, but I've never taken any issue to anything they've said, and I thought they were a very woke channel, you know, so I followed them. I'm making a video right now on stars, right? To a flat Earth video about stars, and they have a really good video that apparently they took of Venus. And Venus is just like tumbling out of control. It like glitched out in real life. It's a wicked, awesome video. I mean, here's the sad thing is it's such a great proof for flat Earth that it should be distributed. The problem with trying to distribute, we need, as a flat Earth community, we need to distribute the little bit of evidence that makes flat Earth credibility as much as possible. And what happens is the flat earthers don't allow their content to be shared. I made a video last year, and it discouraged me. I actually stopped making videos. I made this video about flat Earth, and it had a clip of Antarctica about everyone questions the wall. It had a clip about flying around that wall, and obviously the channel was Flat Earth 2018. That was the channel. They grabbed the clip from obviously some military clip or something. They obviously didn't charter a plane and fly around. I know they didn't, right? But they were the first people. What they did was they didn't put their video in the Creative Commons. And since no one else had claimed ownership of that clip, when I used the clip, which they didn't, I feel confident in saying, although I could be wrong, I'm pretty confident in saying they don't own the rights to it. They dinged me, and I got 1 out of 3 strikes. So now 2 more strikes and my channel gets yanked, if I understand it right. And could you imagine, this is a flat Earth channel, and I'm a flat Earth channel. They are, and I am. And they dinged me, and I wrote them and said, hey, I'll remove it. I'm sorry. I mean, I just thought, And at the beginning of my video, I had said, and I put it in the comments, listen, if I borrowed anyone's content, I am sorry. I have a video library I've amassed over 7 years, and I didn't think to save in the title, go in there and put from this channel. So as I've gone back and tried to compile my own video and give my own spin on things, there's no way I can give credit. Today I do. Today I actually save, when I save a video, I say where it's from. And if I'm going to go use it and that video is not in the Creative Commons, because I save that information as well, then I ask the creator. I've asked a couple different creators, hey, can I borrow this? And I get their permission. But that 2018 channel dinged me, and I wrote them, and they just ignored me. So,
sorry, no, I was just going to say that's quite unusual, that, isn't it, for a fellow sort of like flat Earth channel to.
Yeah. We're supposed to be on the same team.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And it for sure wasn't their content. So Team Yahawashai, Awake Souls, I had actually even told Angelica about them. I'm certain I have. I was watching them for a while. They're very Christian. I thought I was learning a lot of things from them. And I went out and asked these guys, hey, can I use this video? And he said, no, I looked at your avatar. You've got a spacesuit on. You're a shill. I thought it was funny. I'm wearing a spacesuit. The point of it is to say, see how easy it is to fake something. I want to use every other flat earther of the thousands of views, not a lot. I'm a small new channel, but of the thousands of views I've gotten, Nobody has questioned my avatar. Everyone's like, that's sadly.
I did. I questioned your avatar. I was actually looking at it, and I was with it being like a small avatar on YouTube, and I was like, my partner came up and I said, "What's that he's wearing?" And she said, "It's a space." I said, "No, what's he doing with a NASA spacesuit on?"
The point is to show how easy it is to fake things, right? It looks like I'm in that spacesuit. It's you'd say it's well done if you actually pull it up full size. Looks like I'm in that spacesuit. Am I? No, I'm not. I just did it with Photoshop in 10 minutes. So they said, "No, you're a shill." I thought it was hilarious, right? Would you think I'm a shill from that avatar? Would you go, "This guy's a shill"? Or would you look at my content?
Well, as I say, at first I had to think twice, and I thought, no, he's taking a piss here. He's like,
right. So, some people
well, mainly is that because I know you and I know your outlook. So yeah, he's taking the piss, but I don't know. Like you say, I don't know. I mean,
but for them to just judge me without I approach them as a Christian flat earther, and I'm like, we have some things in common here. We're trying to expose the same things. And they're like, no, he called flat out. I replied back and said, "Do you have something against flat earthers?" And he replied back, "Now I've subbed you and I'm going to be watching for your shillery." So now he's saying I'm a shill. He thinks I'm a flat earth shill.
So I think that there needs to be an entire lexicon based on what you just stated. Shill, a shillery, a shillerite. Maybe we can have an entire language that addresses this, and we could put it in the Urban Dictionary of flat earthness, because I don't know if there's a past, present, future, or possessive pronouns that can go into this lexicon of flat earthness.
I just can't believe they judged me like that, right? Like they just looked at my photo. I think this is like everything that Jesus said not to do. And they just went, "Oh, this dude's a shill. Based on his photo, he's a shill."
You're a shillerite.
Yeah, I'm a shillerite, right? I'm shillerite as a shillerite. And man. So anyway, that rubs me so wrong to be classified like that. I've lost friends over flat earth. And these guys say, "I'm not a flat earther. I'm a double agent." That's the first time. I can't imagine how other people feel.
Like you say, maybe if they follow your channel a bit more, they might realize exactly who you are, what you are, and the fact that you're genuine. But it is strange.
Although that has a little bit of rawness to it that you experienced, I think that's a great thing, because you clearly dodged a bullet on that one to invest more time or have any association with that. Because if you are mature in your roots in what you're saying, imagine how that would, as you said, for someone new coming on the channel, it'd almost be I'm going to say, in regards to their channel, imagine being introduced to them and having to deal with that. It's either going to turn people far away, or it's going to draw in the weaker thinkers, almost a cult of sort, even though they're saying the right things, probably technically. Their approach and their ownership of information, I think that's probably a good thing that they shave you off the edge right off the bat.
I've got a list of videos I'm working on. I'm starting from the top, but I'm going to make one about that. In my opinion, he's the fake, right? Like he lost a fan. I was a fan. I was telling people about his channel. That's why I was there. That's how I knew about it, right? Because I'm out at his channel. I'm like, I go there, I watch it. He lost a sub. He lost a fan. And by calling me a shill, I think if you're true in this and you have content that contributes to the cause, you should share it. Everything I make is in the Creative Commons. Everything. Share it away. That's what I want. This guy's out here with good evidence. It looks great. And it's just mine, right? Like now I got a question. This guy's here for the money, right? Mm-hmm. He's gonna get some credit from me. I can tell you that. Angelica, I saw you or became a fan of Whitsitt, Austin Whitsitt, the guy with the red beard and the red hair, right?
Yes, yes.
Is that a sharp dude or what?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love gleaning off of people that are that sharp, because they've already done such a groundwork, and even if we come and pick around the edges of their education or their presentation, it still adds to our toolbox of tools that they already sharpened, and they're like, here you go, you can use this.
Yeah.
That is very refreshing.
I've just been watching over just as I came onto yourself there. I had to mute it because I had it on, and it was Jeranism, his latest video where he had Whitsitt on with him. They were talking about, because apparently did he just do a recent he did a recent what's the name, didn't he, on the
debate with the professor?
Yeah.
I think we
No. The other this is I think this is in the matter of the last day or so. But he went on to Odyssey, not Odyssey. What's the I'll get it in a minute. One sec. Discord. That was it. Discord.
Oh yeah.
He went onto Discord, onto the Flat Earth, and was debating somebody on there, and a Globie, and it was very painful, but very painful to listen to.
I can't go on Discord because it's just a troll. It's nothing but trolls. I thought, I love being in flat earth discussions. I absolutely love it. I think it's intelligent. Look back in the days of, thousands of years ago when they met, in Greek times and Roman times, and in whatever you call that setting. And they had these arguments between these great thinkers, these discussions. And, we wouldn't be here if globe Earth were proven. That's without a doubt. People don't want to admit that, but they want to say we're just phenomenally dumb, right? Like abnormally dumb, right? Which obviously isn't the truth. They just refuse to admit that they're clinging to a religion that's not provable. And I would go as far as to say it's disproven, right? If you look at all their evidences, it just gets uglier and hairier. So I tried to go out there. I tried to go on Discord, and every server I jumped on was nothing but a wolf pack of trolls. Like I went out, you bring up one thing and 900 people and they control every environment. They control, they hijacked Nathan Thompson's Facebook page. Do you know either of you know who Nathan Thompson is?
I don't.
He's similarly sharp dude, as he's up there in that one, very, very sharp. I watched him. In my opinion, I think he's a very sharp dude. He had the largest Facebook flat earth discussion. And I think it was called like Flat Earth versus whatever, but it was over 250,000 members. It was the largest Facebook group. It probably would have grown to 1 million. It was just every day it was just racking up. Facebook shut it down. They just, no explanation. He just got up one day and it was gone. But that same name now got restarted with the same name, and you go there, different group, but they use the same name, and you go there and it is 99% trolls. So if you go in there and you say something, they attack you. Now most Facebook groups are, I don't know if I want to say most, I think most are legitimate and they're good about weeding out trolls. But that particular group that hijacked Nathan's name, his Facebook group name, it's absolutely a troll group today. It's controlled by the opposition. And if you go in there and say one thing, it's like everyone there is paid to do nothing but troll.
Oh yeah. I think there's a lot out there, isn't there? I think it's like we were talking about last week. It's just money just blinds them, and that's it. If they're offered X amount of money to go out and troll, they'll go and do it. So I think the biggest base of people that are out there are actual physically paid trolls to discredit what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna go biblical here on a second, because we often it's in everyone's language and understanding, whether it's from a secular point of view or actual biblical, but everyone is familiar with the term antichrist, right? And everywhere from Hollywood to anywhere in between, and we often it's been portrayed as this antagonist picture of a person who's totally against everything that we understand the biblical Christ to be. However, the Greek meaning of antichrist is another Christ. It's not anti as in against, it's described as another. And I think anyone who spends even the least amount of time in, whether it's Revelation, even up to Genesis, the slyness, the slickness of the lies is most truth and a little bit of lies. And so I think that I don't think anyone here is surprised by the deception, but the methodology of being able to come in line with and then part off. That's exactly what's happening. Similar to if you were to have.
Sorry, Angelica. I'm just amused here. I'm struggling to hear you because all I can hear is.
I muted it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Bubble wrap going there.
So even if you think, let's say 3 or 4 years ago, if you were to Google BLM, what you would have is all those images of the Bundy standoff and Bureau of Land Management come to take land. And it just so happened, of all the acronyms that you could make out of a 26-letter alphabet, BLM, now you would have to scroll down pages and pages and pages and pages to see anything about the Bundy standoff, right? I don't think that's any hijacking. It's not a new mythology of any sort. So these type of pages that get shut down that are legit, and then a new one springs up in the name of, alongside of, I just think that most people aren't going to scroll to the second page of anything. So, yeah, I think that's the method that they're doing there.
So, Angelica, I'm sorry for the bubble wrap. Wasn't thinking about it coming through my mic. I have a sensitive mic, right? Makes my voice a little deeper. I wanted to show you all. The reason I was opening something is I had something I wanted to. It's like show and tell. I'm so happy I got this. I'm so excited. Anyone know what this is?
Yes, it's a. Trying to think of the name of it now, but
it is a high precision gyroscope used in airplanes. It's called a directional gyro, and this is claimed. Well, I'm sure it does, right? Like it should have the accuracy to show the drift of the Earth, right? So I'm going to do my own experiments. I also upgraded my camera last week. I bought a really nice camera and a really nice 80x optical zoom, and I'm going to go out and do my own experiments. And here's why. I'm having to do all this. Every experiment that we've seen, like, are both of you, I'm assuming, are familiar with the black swan, or no, maybe not.
Yeah.
Angelica, how about you? You're not. You maybe seen it, but not know it by the name black swan.
Fill me in, because my assumption would probably be wrong. Okay.
So in just colloquial jargon, or whatever you want to call it, a black swan is an event that shouldn't that shouldn't occur. Everyone thinks there's no black swans. All swans are white. All of a sudden you see a black swan, destroys an argument, right? All of a sudden, oh, there are black swans. So this is used to describe an event that shouldn't exist, right? In flat Earth, there was always this argument about refraction, like that you'd see a photo and they go, oh, it's refracted. It's being, the city is being refracted over the horizon, right? We're not actually seeing the city.
What's it? It's the skyline of
Chicago.
Chicago. Yeah. It's refracted up. Yeah.
So there was this professor who went out and he found a shot where it had multiple oil rigs out in the ocean, and he used Google Maps to see that, like, one was at like 7 miles, one's at 11, and you can get a globe earther to admit you can get them to look into the science of the Earth, and finally, after some arguing, maybe get them to go, okay, at 6 feet, I shouldn't see beyond roughly 3 miles, something like that, right? You can get them to admit that's where I should see the apparent horizon, and that's where the geometric horizon should be. So the Black Swan event, this guy's out there with his camera, and he can see the legs of the oil rig going into the water, already destroying the globe. But then 4 miles beyond that, roughly, you had another rig with its legs going in the water. And then back in the distance beyond that, you still see the water and you see little ships going by, which means you're seeing water for at least a bare minimum 15 miles, right? And that absolutely destroys the globe, and it cannot be refraction because it has taken the whole, it would, you're looking, they call it, it's not refraction. That's not how refraction works. You don't angle up the whole surface at an angle, right? It takes something far away, like the city, like they want to call that, and brings that up, right? So you can't have it both ways is the point. No. Either refraction works this way or refraction works that way.
A refraction as well, it creates like a blur, doesn't it? It's like, refraction is like what you see on a heated road when things raise up from a heated road, and there's a slight blurriness, especially at the bottom, raising as it goes. But when you talk about a lot, when people said that likes of Chicago skyline there, I think it was I don't know who it was, did the experiment where they were on the shores with the Chicago skyline in view and just sailed out to it, and it didn't change.
That was Rob Skiba. Yeah.
Rob Skiba. That was the one. Yeah. It didn't change.
You're just gonna sail out to the horizon.
And bigger. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm go ahead, Angelica. So
maybe this is my naive bottom level intellect here, but wouldn't the repercussions of, let's say we take their argument of refraction to their logical conclusion, right? Wouldn't that cause a holographic nightmare worldwide? Because then wouldn't these images that they're saying that you can only see when you focus on it, wouldn't they be projecting in a 360 world? Like, you wouldn't be able to stop these images. You'd be like, oh, there's something happening in China. And then the other thing that I was just thinking of, you were saying it in grade school when the teacher brings out the overhead projector, right? If she wants it bigger, what does she do? She slides the whole cart towards the back of the room. If she wants it smaller, she goes closer. So if they're going off the idea of refraction, the farther away, shouldn't this ship image just grow? And obviously it would become fuzzier and bigger, just like that overhead projector. But I couldn't imagine that a distance would not, if we go based on their thought, I couldn't imagine that a distance wouldn't make that image bigger. So then an oil rig should be a Batman signal reflected up into the sky, right? And it would be all images, not just the one that person's focusing on. I think that would cause an utter panic worldwide, wouldn't it?
Well, one thing's for sure, and it's along the lines of what you're saying. I think that you could never know what's real, right? Like you can't, if you're just going to randomly say, well, that's not real, that's just refracted. Well, how do we ever know what is real? Because then you have to go, well, it has to have the right conditions. And we know that's real because all you can do is look. That's all you can do is observe, right? So how do you ever know what's real? How are you ever going to know? Maybe we've never seen the truth and everything is a refraction and light's always bent. And if you're going to say that, the problem with that is, and I don't know if either of you ever watched Nathan Oakley, 1980. He has something called the Flat Earth Debate, which he does every day. Yeah. He is a very sharp dude as well. I put him in the top 5. I put him with him, Austin Whitsitt, and there's like a handful of guys, Nathan Thompson. I think those 3 should be on any super team, on any super debate. But what he says is celestial navigation using a sextant. You can't, if you can't trust a horizon, because using a sextant, you set the sextant on the apparent horizon, which hopefully is the geometric horizon, which means, one's apparent, one's real. But the math is based off of the real horizon, the geometric horizon. That's what the math is based on. But if you don't know what that is, and you're saying that an apparent horizon can be anything because it can be refraction, mirage, whatever, then you can't do triangulation. And that all sounds confusing right now, and that would have been confusing to me. But after I watched several of his debates, now that jargon makes sense, and I understand it, and I look at it, and it's his whole argument is that you can't do celestial navigation on a sphere. And what they wanted to do was back in spherical trigonometry, three-dimensional spherical trigonometry, and they have created math for that, but it's not used when you do celestial navigation. They just claim, well, that's how it works, even though the geometry that we use is and what they've always used for celestial navigation is actually what's called plane geometry. It's not three-dimensional, it's just plane geometry, right? So without going too deep into that, if you ever want to go off the deep end and really hear some high-level guys and really understand some of these arguments, get on FED, man. The Flat Earth debate with Nathan Oakley's.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I love that. I can listen to those debates. I think if I had to have have a criticism with
the problem with Nathan Oakley, and I don't want to say the problem, it's nice once in a while to see someone treat Globers the way Professor Dave treats flat earthers, right? Like, and I know that's wrong. I understand it.
But that's just bringing us down to their level, isn't it? And
it is.
One thing we can be proud of as flat earthers is we never ever use derogatory or insultive sort of like rebuts to defend our argument. But not so much that, not so much that it tends to, I don't know, it tends to cut people off, if
it does.
Don't get me wrong, it puts people, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of Nathan Oakley stuff is
I'm learning a lot from Austin, right? Like
Austin.
That's admirable. That guy keeps his cool. He gets insulted. That's why I couldn't go on a debate. I'm trying to learn.
You were triggered. You were triggered last week with the troll that we had on.
And I had the gall to think.
Angelica.
I thought, you weren't on for that. I thought I was above that. I actually thought that I was above getting triggered, and I left him on, right? And I said, it's okay. I could ignore him.
Yeah.
But he did. He dug his way under my skin, right? And I lost my cool. So, we need to not sink to their level. And it takes training to not be offended and to love the people we're arguing with, even though they're insulting us. And they are. It's hard, man. It's hard.
I think if I ever did, sorry, go on, Angelica.
No, you go.
No, I was just about to say that if ever I do get into a debate with anybody like that, if they can't reasonably debate and have a reasonable discussion, then I no time for them anyway. I don't get insulted or anything. I just say, okay, you carry on living your sort of like indoctrinated sort of like vision of this so-called watery ball we live on, and I don't even take them up on debate now.
I wouldn't want to do a debate. And I hope no one asks me, because I see challenges for that. And I'm like, I don't want to debate. If you want to discuss, I'll discuss with anyone. If you can discuss, I would rather that. Let's just discuss it, and we'll talk about it, because honestly, truthfully, you can't really win a debate, because science has created an explanation for everything. They do have an explanation for everything. The question is it a load of crap, right? And it's not until you learn all the arguments from both sides that you start to go, hold on. We got objects shrinking. I got objects in multiple places at the same time. I've got people walking around the bottom of the ball. I've got the globe holding a tank to the bottom of a ball, but butterflies fly around effortlessly. It just goes on and on. I've got the stars all going in perfectly concentric circles. I've got, you could go on all day. I could really write a diatribe. And it's either Occam's razor or someone's lying. And the measurements prove someone's lying, right?
let me
definitely.
ask you this: what theoretically, who is the audience, or who's the target of a debate? If
The
someone were to
audience.
invite you to it, the audience, right? Hardly ever. I mean, there may be some divine intervention that allows the opposing debater to switch his mind in some sort of revelation when they lay their head
Yeah.
down on their pillow at night. But typically, that the person you're debating is clearly already confident in their stance, at least at that moment. And so the audience is. And so I think how you said you would have a discussion, not a debate, I believe you're already having both, but you're taking the higher road with the audience in mind, because you're not saying no to a debate because you care about the other guy's feelings. Like, who cares, right? If whatever force they come at you on the chessboard, you can just send out the appropriate pieces. But really, the conservatism of what you're not wanting to do is dishearten or steer in the wrong way the audience. So I think you already are having a debate, but at the intellectual and mindful level of a discussion. And so in that sense, you already want a debate. I think sometimes people learn best when they don't even realize they're learning, and the demeanor that you're instigating, I'll say debates, that you're instigating these debates already won over an audience that the other guy probably doesn't even realize he lost yet, I would say.
Yeah. Well, here's another thought is I have friends that will just happened yesterday, and he's a good friend. He always will be. We'll argue. We argue, and sometimes our arguments get heated. I wish they didn't. But he sent me some flat earth videos, which, I mean, I hate to say it, they're offensive to me. Like, just seeing that dude's face makes me cringe, right? I'm just like, you don't understand what. So I just want to make a point for anyone watching. I want to get both your Angelica and Stewart. I want to get both your all. I want to get both your all's opinions. 1 second. 1 second. Just want to see something real quick. So they think, the people who send me, like Professor Dave, they believe in their heart, in their head, that he believes the earth is a ball. What do you all believe? Do you think he actually believes that, or he knows otherwise and he is misleading? Well, this is one question for you guys.
You go first, Stewart.
I think when Professor Dave's concerned, again, to what I was talking about before, I think he's just he's just in it for the money, basically. I think, and I don't know. I mean, you ask a good question there, because I do honestly think, just like a lot of these scientists that are out there, and school teachers who are just out there projecting and indoctrinating what they've been indoctrinated with, and genuinely believe what science, supposedly the hijacking of our education system, them, so they become to believe it, and I do believe it. And to a lot of people, the fact that they do believe it, and you're opposing their sort of like lifetime belief or whatever, then that's when ego and everything comes into it, and you don't want to let that go. But as far as, like, say, yeah, as far as so-called Professor Dave, as far as he's concerned, I genuinely think that he thinks we live on a globe. And as far as his arguments are concerned, and as you know, he's already admitted that he gets his information. It's not information that he gathers or that he knows scientifically. It's information that's given to him that all he does is regurgitate it to put this so-called argument up. But I certainly think there's a very, very big influence of the old Reddies and the old finance there, as far as he's concerned.
Angelica?
There you go.
Yeah, I agree. I would say from two perspectives. I'll go biblical first again. We know that those who are committed to lies or deception, whether it's under self-preservation or whether it's an alignment with who they idolize, what have you, the word does say at some point you will be given over to your deception. The scales will not fall from your eyes. So there is a chance that he believes it, but he dug himself into that belief, as in, I'm just going to go a little deeper, like an animal that burrows in. They burrow themselves in there. So there's that chance that he believes it, but it's because he purposely turned from the truth. And at some point, like, okay, if that's the deception you want, I'll give it to you. That's fine. You can deal with the repercussions of it. And if that's not the case, if he, in the back of his mind, that he hasn't been completely seared, I would suspect there is a casting out of a broad net, in the sense of, if you know, let's say a really bad martial arts instructor, like they can kind of pull off their skills to introductory students, and that those are the instructors that what they say, no, we don't compete outside of our system. No, I'm not going to spar. We don't spar here because for whatever reason. Why? It has nothing to do that their martial art isn't any good. It's that they don't want to be called out for their good. And so I say that because the more an instructor like that is never going to go to another gym, another instructor, and ask for help, because in their mind they already put themselves on the level of, I know what I need to know and I'm no longer a student. And so in a platform such as that, I believe this is a way for him to cast out a large net, glean in all the debate, all the naysayers, in hopes that in his net he'll gain more information secondhand. Like, okay, I'm going to put that in because someone almost busted my cover, right? It's like watching a YouTube video, like a student catches you in a choke. You're like, oh my goodness, I don't know how to get out. And then you see another, like, phew, okay, I can live another day, right? And so I think there may be a sense of that, where the more steadfast you are, the feedback is actually what allows you to extend your cover a little bit longer, maybe.
Yeah. That's awesome. So
beautiful,
yeah, I like that. So I'm going to give you my take. My take on them is this: if I had to, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this and be Christian, right? I am Christian. If I had to, if someone said, "Hey, you have to say that," I would say Professor Dave is intentionally deceiving. I say he knows the truth. I'd say that this is just my belief, right? I think I'm allowed to say that. I think that's okay. If you ask me what I believe Brian Cox and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Simon Dan and all these guys out there, Danny Faulkner, they all know the truth. I think they do. Professor Dave uses insults because he tries to get you to mess up your argument. He needs that. He needs that. And if he were not being deceitful, he wouldn't use straw man arguments. As a true student of science, he wouldn't need to straw man, and he does. If I'm not as good as Austin, but I can pick apart all of Professor Dave's stuff. Now, would he hit me with some ingenious PhD what's it called? Paradoxical bullshit that would he trap me with that? Yeah, because he's got the best writers in the world giving him a script to follow, and I don't have that luxury. But if I do look at his 10 proofs or all the stupid stuff in his video, you can't have the southern stars look the same from 3 different angles of the earth. Well, that's at nighttime, and nighttime doesn't happen at once in all 3, here, and here. It has to, nighttime here is 12 hours, 8 hours away from this one and 8 hours away from this one. The firmament's spinning at that speed. So there is a flat earth explanation that does. And like here, the guy's a liar because right off the bat, he's going to say he uses Eratosthenes. And you want to sit there and say, for Eratosthenes to be correct, you have to say sun rays are straight. But we know sun rays aren't straight because the eclipse of the moon on the earth leaves 170 mile shadow. We know that. That's proven. That's indisputable. So we know sun rays aren't straight, yet he's going to use the argument as if it's definite. Every time he lays out one of his bullcrap examples, it's always a straw man. Always. You're always assuming something. Well, space, you have a flat, he shows a flat planet in space with other round planets. He straw mans the crap out of you. He's not defeating it on fair grounds. So, and I see it with him. I see it with Simon Dan. I see it with Brian Cox. You see it once you see it, and you see that they're always using straw man. It's easy to see that they've chosen a side, and that they're just deceiving anyone doing any real search, and they get put at the top. And when we got into this, Stewart, I know it's the same for you. We got the good videos, right? It's like YouTube hadn't caught on. They weren't like, holy crap, this didn't blow. They missed it, right? They missed their opportunity. Because imagine if they had done that a year before you and I got into it, right? We would have looked it up and been like, oh man, Professor Dave did this.
Actually, if I could just come in there, just one sec. I mean, you say that with me. I mean, I didn't really 100% come into this as far as understanding the realm that we live in. Like I said,
Well, say that again. You said you didn't want to come into this?
No, I didn't come into this with the confidence of the realm that we live in. I didn't come into it. I mean, I wasn't watching any Flat Earth videos or doing any Flat Earth stuff whatsoever until about 2017, 2018. And by then there was a little bit, maybe you could get the odd thing on YouTube, but the censorship had still come in slightly. But no, sorry, it's just with you saying that, I mean, if you go back to the days, I mean, Dave Wise talks about it when he was saying that he could go back to his early days where, yes, you can find nearly everything on YouTube.
Oh, everything I searched for came right to the top. I think it was the end of 2015 when I first looked, and I was watching weather balloon videos, and you'd type for amateur weather balloon and you'd see all these flat Earth views.
Sorry, wasn't that the time when the Flat Earth search was getting more search results than Donald Trump was? Donald Trump was the top, and then Flat Earth overtook him, and that's when they started suppressing Flat Earth stuff.
I don't know that for a fact, but I don't doubt that a bit. Eric Dubay had great stuff out there, and you started seeing ODD TV and Hibbeler Productions and all these other Celebrate Truth and all these really good, these guys started coming out. But it was prevalent back then. So I'll share this little story I've got. I've got this friend who I've worked with who is in the networking world or in systems admin world, he would be what's called an engineer or an architect. It means he kind of made it to the top of IT, right? Which has also been my title for like the last 25 years or something. But we're both architects. We're both in systems engineers. We both can design corporate, systems, regardless whether that's in the thin client world or the networking world or the server world or the hypervisor world or what. We've both worked in several disciplines of IT. So he's got a scientific brain, and he's a good friend. So he lets me bounce stuff off of him, and he looks at everything I send him, but I can't get through to him. Everything I send. So I try to corner him, right? Like I tried to really pin him down. And I said, man, why won't you're telling me to go out and look at the ocean, but there's hundreds of flat Earth videos of guys that are zooming in. Like, what's the point? I said, do you not trust those videos? And he goes, oh, they're fake. I'm like, so you think flat earthers are faking videos to be part of a club that no one wants to be in, to be ridiculed, right? Like, and the governor's act. I mean, the country is the government is fighting this. Obviously, they don't want it, so it's not professional. Who's doing this? Who's faking it? Like someone wants to be an outcast. Like that's the mentality. But he said, yeah, I think they're all fake. They're all the thousands and thousands of videos and photos are they're faking them. And when you see them, I'm like, how could you? Like it would take, a studio to create this. This guy's zooming in real time talking. You got birds flying by. You can't fake that. So as a result, I had to go out and buy my own expensive camera and my own gyroscope because the gyroscope experiments he doesn't trust. One last story. Go ahead.
What do you believe? So your friend, if you were to ask him, what would it cost you if you believed what I'm telling you? What do you think he would say?
So that's the thing. He thinks it costs nothing and his life doesn't change. And I've said, you're wrong. You're wrong. So he thinks
he
that
knows better.
he doesn't believe it though. He says
Yeah.
it means nothing. It's even if the Earth were flat, it doesn't change anything. And I'm like, you haven't considered it. That tells me you haven't considered it. You don't understand how much it changes.
I don't believe he deep down thinks that, maybe on the surface, but I bet there's some sort of slight underground of anxiety that if he were to actually consider that, like, whoa, I may have to lose friends, my reputation, I may have to, whatever it is. I'm sure that has running through his mind. And I believe that it's not, I don't think any amount of information that you send him will get through until he can come face to face to grips with, this will cost me something. Because right now it seems like that's the denial door that's being shut right there. He knows it'll cost him something.
And I believe that, what you said. I think that's accurate. I think on top of that, I think biblically, some people don't have eyes to see. Like they've, just like you said earlier, they're so committed that they don't have the ability to see. They just can't see it. They're just absolutely committed. And no matter how, what's the word for it? You know, when you present something that's indisputable, no matter how indisputable it is, you know, they just go, I don't care. I don't believe that, because it has to be wrong. It has to be. I know it's impossible to do that, but it has to be wrong. Did
I hear someone with a Syria then?
My phone's listening. It is. It is my phone.
Is it your phone?
I never use Siri.
I thought it was Siri.
No, I have none of that in my house. I don't have any auto. I don't like things listening to me.
No. Although I don't know.
So,
I mean, go on.
Do you ever have you ever seen any of the gyroscope experiments? Any of those videos where they take high precision gyroscopes and show there's no drift of the Earth?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's like there was one video I watched. It was regarding. I mean, I've seen a few of them, but there was this one particular one. I can't remember who actually did it, but they were having a discussion with a pilot who was saying that he now understands we are living on a flat plane.
Oh, you're talking about the F-16 pilot? That was with that. Well, that was with Ben of Taboo Conspiracy,
right?
And
I mean, he was saying about the simple fact that he never even it was never a second thought to his head that he flies his aircraft with a gyroscope, a manual, not a digital, a manual physical gyroscope that once he's hit a certain altitude and he levels off, he keeps that gyroscope at level.
Yeah.
And he said he can go for 500,000 miles and still keep that gyroscope on a level. He said, now, understandably now, if I was on a ball, I'd be going off out into wherever.
Yeah.
Or I would be nosing down to keep with the curve.
Was that the F-16 pilot? I'm just curious if it's the same video.
I think yeah, he was. He
was like a retired older guy. F-16.
Yeah.
I've got that pulled up right now. I was looking at it for like the third or fourth time.
Yeah, but like he said, how the hell could he was indoctrinated within his training and everything, and the fact that he even said that all his training is done on a 2D flat Earth map.
Yeah.
The what's the name map? And he said it just never clicked until now, and I've started thinking about it, which is that's amazing to me.
So, you know, I was out there and I've watched so many gyroscope experiments. I watched Rob Durham's, I watched John Savage's, I've watched other people do these things, and they're well thought out, well carried out, well documented. They have toilet paper blowing on a fan. So you know it's not fake. They've taken every control to make sure it's indisputable, and they catch no drift for hours. But then, so I send these to my buddy, my scientist, my engineering buddy, whatever you want to call him, architect, and he goes out and finds a video of a guy who doesn't mention anything about Earth being a flat earther or anything. It looks, if you just scroll down his page, his YouTube channel, it looks like some guy who just likes tinkering around. And he says, oh, look, check this out. Here we can see the turning of the earth. And, look, here's 15 degrees an hour. But I watch his video a little bit more and I talk to this guy. So I'm not, this is hard to talk about for my own reasons, but he was a nice enough guy. I think I have my suspicions, but I'm not going to accuse him of anything. But he went further. So here's the guy who's showing drift. And now you have flat earthers doing their experiment, and you've got globe earthers doing their experiment. And you have a group that's not seeing any drift and a group that's having drift, right? So we have a mismatch. Now, the guy that saw drift, this guy has his channel. I'm not going to say his name. But I go out there and I do some poking around, and I start looking at all of his videos, and he doesn't say it's anti-flat earth. It's never mentioned in any of his videos, but it just so happens that all the experiments he's doing are anti-flat earth. He's got like a theodolite. He's got a total station. He's got freaking 3 or 4 gyroscopes that are all precision. He's got the toy mechanical gyroscopes. He's got little equipment to turn them and gauge them. And I'm sitting there thinking, what kind of job does this guy have? These high precision gyroscopes are $500 each. He's got $2,000 in gyroscopes. He's got a several $1,000 theodolite. He's got lasers, like high expensive lasers. And I'm like, and why does he have like tens of thousands of dollars of equipment? And why is every experiment he does related to flat earth, but he never mentions it? He just happens to do experiments that just happen to. So I reached out before we go down that route, I look at his videos further. He has several gyroscope experiments. In one of the gyroscope videos, he takes it apart and he goes, see on the gimbal, it's got these 2 little nuts, one on each side. He goes, this is where you can make adjustments to make it accurate, to make it drift properly, right? And I'm like, hold on. He just said he knows how to make it show the proper amount of drift, right? So on a gyroscope, if you were to weight one side of a gimbal and spin it up, it would start turning one way because it's weighted. So one of the things I thought was ironic is he said, we use this to he didn't say balance. Honestly, in honesty, those things are there for balance. It should be perfectly balanced. There should be no drift. But he in his description said, we can dial it in. Forgive me on the verbiage, but we can dial it in so we make it accurate. I'm like, well, wait a minute, because if your preconception of accurate is 15 degrees an hour, now you're telling me you're going to make it drift, and you're telling me you know how to make it drift. So I reached out.
I'm going to go country here because, I live on a mountain. So my version of drift, it's not NASCAR. It's not gyroscope. My version of drift is one of my tires in the front has low pressure. And if I don't keep the wheel, I'm going off into the ditch. And so when you just said that he could adjust and show the drift, to me, he just has 3 tires that are inflated properly and one that's not.
Yeah, well, you're not far off. Well, so then this is where it got weird. I'm like, wow, you have flat earthers doing the experiment, and these are equally sharp guys, if not sharper. These guys are AutoCAD users. They're mechanical. They're electrical mechanical. They understand electronic. They obviously have the right faculties to do this. They gauge theirs. They put them on clock faces to make sure that on a clock they do pick up 15 degrees an hour. If you take a gyroscopic mechanism and set it on a device that does turn at 360 degrees a day, it does pick up. So they have a control that they show the control and prove that they're being honest and that it turns as it should on a clock face. But when they put it on a table, it doesn't show any drift. It doesn't show any rotation, right? So I reached out to this guy whose channel didn't appear to be a flat earth hit piece channel. It didn't appear to be a channel dedicated to destroying flat earthers. It just appeared to be some guy who liked doing experiments. So I said, hey man, I have some questions for you. I'm a cosmological researcher like you. Can we parlay? And he said, yeah, man, best place to reach me is on this Discord channel, or this Discord channel, or this Discord channel, or this Discord channel, or this Discord channel. He just starts naming them all. They're all anti-flat Earth Discord channels. And every one of them, he's like, basically, in my mind, stated he's there all day, right? Like, yeah, just reach me out there. Just go there and just say my name. And I'm like, wow. So you're in all these channels that are anti-flat Earth all day long. I'm like, so you are, it seems to me like your passion is somewhere between, it's cosmological, and you are an anti-flat earther because you explained to me, you told me that, you said that the Earth, you believe the Earth is globular. You at least admitted that. And all your videos are anti-flat Earth. But you're not saying that in your videos, right? He even had a video that debunked. Now check this out. In my opinion, this shows deception. Have either of you seen the video that shows the Legos on a table that debunked the Lake Pontchartrain, the Lake Pontchartrain video, right? Because people will say, Globers will use Lake Pontchartrain and say, oh, you can see the curve of the towers. And what people did was they laid Lego blocks on a table, and then they use a camera and zoom it in, and you can show that the towers do the same thing that we observe on Lake Pontchartrain. If you watch the video, the lady said in the video, which I knew that video, as soon as I saw his video, which showed just a picture of her video, he said, look at this, they're lying to you. This lady's using deception because she is saying that there's a ruler. If you take a ruler to the top of these, you can only create that way with it curving away, right? So she's going, that lady used Legos that are curving away. If you watch the video, the lady says, I'm using Legos that curve away because that's what the towers do on Lake Pontchartrain. So I'm using a smaller scale to demonstrate what you'll see. Well, he didn't mention that. So somebody messaged him and said, hey man, just FYI, this lady says in the video that she did that. So you're implying she's being deceptive, but she's not. You're the one being deceptive because you're not saying that she said that in the video. You're saying she's not saying that. And then he added that, like in his description, he's saying, well, when I first saw it, I just saw the photo, right? So I didn't see the whole video. Someone sent me the photo. But he leaves the video there for people to watch, but he added a description, which no one ever reads the description. So what happens is, like, why leave it there? The whole point of the video was you debunking the lady's claim, but it turned out you didn't debunk her claim because that's not what she was claiming, but you still leave the video there. To me, that's deception. That showed me your intent is to deceive. So now I know.
Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, that's it. I'm sorry. It was such a long diatribe, but I could go on and on.
Yeah.
In the beginning, or a couple minutes ago, you said that seems to be his passion, right? I think you could equally, on both sides of the equal sign, take out passion and put in profession. Because if he's on all these channels all day, and you had brought up the observation that he has all these equipments and all these things, well, what do you do for work? I don't think it's just his passion. I think it's his profession. And based on everything you said, it seems to me that his profession is sales. So if you have 3 car lots on an intersection, one on each corner, if it was your passion, someone comes in, needs a car, right? If it's your passion to get them the car they need, you would, which nobody does, you would be able to honestly go to your dealership, the one across the street and the one across the street, and say, I am passionate about getting you a car, but it's my profession to sell, so I want to sell you my car. I don't want you to see those other 2. So I think this guy is passionate, but he's also that profession. So he's in sales, and as we know, some sales guys are slimy and creepy and on Uncle Bob's used car lots, and others are very slick in their psychology. So I think this guy is a professional salesman who wants to sell you a car, but only from his lot. That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Yeah. So the sad
analogy,
yeah. So I don't care. I'll spend the money. I'll buy all my own equipment. I'll do every experiment myself. If someone wants to tell me I don't have the faculties to do it, let's argue. I say I do have the faculties to do it, right?
Is your wife saying that though? Is your wife saying, I don't want you to have the faculties, or is she just saying, go ahead and buy?
She doesn't have a problem. She supports this with me. She's on the same page as me. It's when you see it, it's easy to, if you have eyes to see, you see it.
Yeah.
I grew up.
Can I just ask you one question there, Bobby?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have children?
Yeah, 3.
3. And what's their ages?
I have a 6-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 30-year-old.
And are they on the same page?
My oldest, because I was atheist all through his growing up,
right? Yeah.
He won't even talk to me about it, and he thinks I'm a nut job. So he's written me off. My middle, he's on the fence. He actually reached out to me the other day, and I knew he's been on the fence for a while because I showed him some stuff, and he said, "Dad, I want to come watch some more stuff. I need to understand some things." So he's definitely on the face. He's definitely on the fence, probably leaning to flat Earth.
Yeah.
My daughter is like, "Dad, she loves her teachers, right? She's like, Dad, can I tell my teachers? I want them to know too." I'm like, no. She's like, but I like my teachers. And I'm like, no, they will tell you you are wrong and your father is misinformed, and because they believe what they're teaching. They do. Mm-hmm. They were taught just like I did. We're taught what seems like a valid explanation, and they think they're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. But
no, sorry, I took you off your track there. I was just inquisitive because, as I say, I mean, I've got a 40-year-old stepson who lives with us, and I've got a 34-year-old son and a 30-year-old daughter. But yeah, they don't mock me or anything for my belief. But I think, I don't know if I mentioned to you last time, but my son came to visit me not a month or so ago, and he thinks some other wild thing about here, this flat Earth, and we just got talking about it. But usually he always says, "I don't want to talk about it. Don't bring that subject up. Just don't bring it up," type of thing, because it's one of them. And then I just happened to mention it, and I went, "Oh, sorry, we weren't discussing that." And then he actually said to me, "Right, Dad, but pull your model. What is your model then? Explain it to me." And I went, "Yes." So he's asking questions, and he had quite a few questions. Now, I think I sowed a seed there. Now, whether he went home because he had something like 2.5 hour to 3 hour car drive home that day after he'd been to visit me. So whether it got his, I don't know, because I haven't really spoken to him since, because he doesn't like bringing this topic up. But I just thought and my daughter, she'll talk to me about it and everything and ask me questions and everything. But I don't think she's not on board 100%. But I just,
I think we probably all 3 have similar in that our kids, some are responsive, some are dismissive, and in some ways we're restricted either by communication via the relationship or, like, for instance, school, right? That kind of brings you down to your core of that balance between parenting and sending your kid out into the world. And that's such a ebb and flow of when and where and why and how. What do I send them with on their journey into that daily? But I think if we remember too that we live in the world, but we're not of the world, it, as earthly as it sounds, it's almost like we're in a parenting plan with the world. And if you get along, you can co-parent. But if you co-parent, you're probably not going to be in a divorce court of any sort anyway. And so the best you can do is parallel parenting. So, there's co-parenting where you both work together. Hardly ever happens. There's counter parenting where everything you do, I do the opposite. That's usually the more juvenile and level 1 of it. And then there's parallel parenting where when you're at my house, you do this. When you're at their house, you do this. You can come talk to me at any time, And I think when we send our kids to school or to talk to teachers or into the workforce or university or what have you, to equip them to know that when you're at mommy or daddy's house, this is our foundation of whatever. When you go there, you're not going to have that, but you don't necessarily, it's not your job to convince them of mommy or daddy's belief. When you come back here, you can refresh and restore. And so I think that is hard. Like, such as your daughter's age, she glows. She has such a glow, right?
Is that a situation you're in at the moment, Angelica? I mean, sorry, I don't mean to pry into your private life or anything.
Oh, no, it's fine. So my kids' ages are 23, 16, 15, 5, and just 3 today. I know.
Is that 4?
5. 5, but it feels like
you don't look old enough to have 5.
It's just the angle. It's if I turn this way in the sunlight bounce. But it's the same thing as when my kids are with me, they're like intrigued, but it's almost like they have this safety switch that when they leave my house, they know they have to not talk about that anymore. But I think for us to be a safe haven for that, where we don't necessarily need to go out, but we give them a little something in their backpack so that they can unplug it if they need to. But in reality, for them to know that they can come back to us in that parallel parenting type of thing with the world, I think that's realistically the best we can do while still preserving our sanity.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that. And it's very difficult, like you say, if you have got a parallel sort of relationship with your kids, as far as your partner's concerned or whatever, it can be a difficult situation.
Yeah. So, Angelica, I hadn't considered until just now. How do you have one parent kind of teaching your children one thing and one the other, and how's that affecting? Like, how are you dealing with that? How do you deal with that? Right? Like,
I'm going to go biblical again, because here's why I keep doing that. Because if I go anything other than biblical, it's very carnal. And that part of me is not that great. It's very, different. So the best I can do is take that model of, and I'll go with Yeshua, is that when he was posed with the hardest questions, he considered the source, he considered the intention, then often asked questions back, which I know both of you do, I think, naturally. Well, maybe not naturally, but you've made it your second nature to do right as you learn maturity and communication. And so often when those questions are posed to me, I'll try to get a temperature on the intention first. Like, are you asking me that because you're being recorded? Are you asking me that because you really want to know? Are you asking me that because you want to see what my level of crazy is that day? Or do you want to just get an extra snack at the store? So you're just trying to humor me. So I'll do that. And then I just try to ask the questions back more to make them dive deeper into what they're asking. But yeah, I try not to be too combative, even though my carnal self very wants, I want to shake the shoulders, of course, but I know that's not the way that I've come to any sort of truth. So that's what I try to do there.
Yeah, it's tough. I couldn't imagine. Oh my gosh, I sympathize with you, because if I had, I'm trying to teach my daughter truth, and I couldn't imagine if I had someone fighting me on that. It's enough to deal with the schools. And I've told my daughter, look, learn what they're teaching you, learn to, they're testing you on that, understand that's the science, right? Understand what they're teaching you, just understand it's not necessarily true. Right. And I'll show you, I told her, as you get older, I'll show you why I believe what I believe, and you can make up your own mind, but you will see both. And I tell her every day, whenever I see something, I tell her, hey, that's one of my beliefs. That's why I believe. So I tell her, learn what they're telling you in school. I don't believe it, and I will tell you the truth, why I believe what I know is the truth as you're old enough to understand it. So, and I tell her every day, I say, I believe that's a lie. That's a lie. Sometimes I just say outright, that's a lie. But every week or so, I'll say, as you get older, I'll explain more.
Sorry, go on.
No, you go, Stewart.
No, I was just about to say that I'm in a pretty similar sort of like situation that you are there, Angelica, in that, I mean, I've had a 5 year or so ago, I had a 25-year marriage breakup. I'm living on the other side of the country now from where she lives and everything. And yeah, we couldn't be more poles apart with our views of the world and everything. And one good thing like you were saying there, Bobby, that you couldn't imagine the sort of like the difference there between two mindsets. But I think a lot easier now, because my children have seen, since my breakup and since I've come out to talking about the realm, the actual realm I believe. Well, no, I don't believe. I mean, I know it in me, of the realm that we live in. That, as I mentioned to you on the last show, I think that my outlook on life and my well-being has changed 100%. I have come into this belief of not just the flat Earth, which opens your eyes up to everything, but for years I've known about the corruption and everything, and geopolitically, what's going on geopolitically, and how they've sabotaged everything, the education system and everything. So I think it's helped me in that my children have seen the change in me. They've seen the change in me and how I am now to what I was. And they've said, well, there must be something there. There's got to be something there, because my dad's X this now, and I love it. And they've even said to me, I love how you are at the moment, Dad. Your mindset. And I think that's...
It made me a better person. There's no doubt about it. I became... Now, so me and Angelica share the same belief. I don't... I try not to use it in my arguments, because I have friends, close friends, who have said, don't throw that Bible bull crap at me, right? So what I try to do is I try to win them through science, right? Because if you get there, I know where that's going to lead. It's going to lead to you knowing there's a creator. And even if you don't become a Christian, I know you're on a path, and I know that path is better than the path you are on, because that truth opens up nothing but good things. So I think that there's some people that intentionally do that. I find myself not once in a while I do. I come out and I admit, and I'll use biblical passages, and I've done it in other videos, right? But if I do, I try to set a context around it. I'll say, look, I have to, because this makes what I'm about to say make sense. So, but I try not to make my arguments biblical. I don't mind Angelica being here. I actually like it, because we share the same belief. But you and I share the same belief, right? And the one thing we know is that it's the truth. The truth sets you free, and it makes you a better person. And we don't, and we're going to keep growing as a result of that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if it's a benefit to me that I can't come from the Bible side, because I don't know enough on that side of it, which I mentioned to you last time. So I never have, apart from on the odd occasion when I've quoted Genesis, which is the first section of the Bible. I've quoted Genesis on the very odd occasion, but I can't 100% come from a biblical, so I can't use that. I mean, a lot of my teachings, if you want to call it that, or my explanations, is just basically physical science on what you see and what you experience when you go out in that street, basically.
Well, so my thing with the Bible is, yes, I believe it. I also think that, and logic would dictate, there's probably more story, right? Like there probably, you can only make a book so big, right? He squeezed, how many thousands of years into a couple pages, right? So there's probably more story. I like to entertain that. I don't take it as fact, but I have fun in reading the Apocrypha and reading the predecessors to the Apocrypha that have very similar stories, such as the Sumerian history. I love reading the Enuma Elish, the Epic of Gilgamesh, things like that, right? And I'm into megalithic structures, and I have such a library of content, and I think it all ties together. It's all part of the same truth. It has to be because it's history and it's there. And I try to figure out how those mesh together. And I have, as a result of that, I believe there's bits and pieces that aren't in the Bible because everything can't be. And I take great joy in trying to figure out those bits and pieces. I think it's fun to look to study other religions and theologies. But for me, there is so much overwhelming truth in the Bible, right? Like and on top of that, so before I was in the Bible and when I was an atheist, I was incredibly into sci-fi, right? Like sci-fi, I've never missed a Matrix movie. I never missed a Star Wars. I never missed a Star Trek. I was like, man, if we're going to space, and I was into Anunnaki and I was into aliens. I was into Zechariah Sitchin and Stephen Greer.
But all that, don't you find though, that all that is still entertaining? I still enjoy.
Not as much.
No, because obviously you see through it and
you know they're lying.
But it is, to me now, that is entertainment. And I still enjoy it. It's like I still like me Star Trek.
It's still good.
The Next Generation, and I love watching it. But it's entertainment.
It's still good. I think those videos were those productions were better when I thought it could be real, right? Like that was like, my gosh. So when you take that aspect out of it, do I still watch sci-fi? Well, 90% of the time when I go to bed, I'm watching YouTube, right? I'm watching other flat earthers make an argument. Once in a while, I'll be like, all right, my life can't be just, let me watch a movie with my family. You know, my wife's here, my daughter's here. I'll put on something and it's okay.
On that note, and to come back around a little bit about that discussion we were just having about our kids and their viewpoint and their interaction with us, I believe, at least this was for me, that separation from what we thought was truth to what it is now. So we feel mature, at least on the right trajectory of where we're going with our truth. And then our kids are a generation behind whatever opposing forces in between you and them, whether it be time or the school system or a spouse, whatever it is, right? So I think the hardest thing for me, for myself, to get out of what I believe NASA, let's take something that's kind of across the board that we can divorce ourselves from, like Halloween, right? Why was it so hard for me to not do those practices anymore is because the association with some of the good feelings that they brought. When you think back as a kid, we had family time, we had candy, there was all these things. And so when most people don't want to get rid of the idea of what was, it's often because those ties, those nostalgia ties are so strong that they assume that they have to get rid of that too. So when you see a kid wearing a NASA shirt to class or something, what does that invoke in us? It invokes, as a kid, you're taught that's courageous and adventurous and you're the creme de la creme of the intellectual pool and all these things. And so then, it's hard to pop a kid's bubble. We'd be like, actually, that's kind of a lie, right? And so I think is that like
when you have to? Is that when it comes to a time you have to tell them that Santa doesn't exist?
Yeah, like listen. But the reason why we cling on to that, and I think a lot of the reasons that adults themselves and adults to their kids aren't willing to let that go is because so much of, for instance, the sci-fi stuff, when you were younger, that invoked in you that sense of adventure and aspiration and all these things. And so now we're on the other side where you'd be like, that's pretty lame. Or if at the very least it's showing the more demonic side of what I was on the other side of the fence prior. And so to bring that to showing our kids, then often the emotions that those things invoked, whether it be holidays or the globe earth or the courageousness of being an astronaut or what have you, if we can substitute that for the truth, I think it'd be easier for our kids to have those things without having to cut off completely all that nostalgia. I mean, there's a reason why the like false flag, horrific, I'm going to say school shootings, and there's a reason that they tie that to children and whatnot, because if you speak out against it, you're speaking out against this persona that they built. And the same thing with sci-fi, NASA, all these things to debunk that. People have a hard time divorcing their thought process to the good, virtuous things that they purposely intertwined and all that. So if we can give those good facets to our children without associating it with the lie that's delivering it, I think then we can, I mean, this way we're not tied emotionally. But I know that was the hardest thing for me, is like, if I go the route of truth, I've got to get rid of all these virtuous things that invoke the human nature. And I think that's done on purpose, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I wanted to bring up something I meant to bring up earlier when we were talking about that F-16 video. It just popped into my head because I'm looking at the F-16 video on my other monitor. I'm trying to make this video for stars, and I'm out there looking for evidence, and I have great evidence on my hard drive for the various sunspot videos I clipped around the years. And I realized if I use them, my video is just going to get taken down because I don't know where that content came from. And then I'm going to end up with a strike, right? When you're a content creator, you learn to fear these strikes. So I said, all right, I don't know if either of you have seen this, but real sunspots. And there's been many people over the years that I've seen who have focused on the sun with filters, and sunspots move around the sun like a clock face. They sit there and move around it in a circular fashion. If you were to see real video of sunspots, NASA tells you, as does every scientific body and every educational body, every academic body, that sunspots move around, from one side to the other, right? I'd say left to right, or what from us viewing it from left to right, right? However you want to consider that. That's what they teach us. And that's what it would have to be if, we're in like the equivalent of a tidal lock, like what they make up the science of the moon being stuck to the earth. We're spinning it around it. There's no way you can be spinning around the sun, on this plane, and the sun's turning on another plane. That makes no sense, right? If whichever way the sun's turning, the objects around it have to be turning that way as well. And that's orbital mechanics. And we have plenty of moons that violate that in our solar system, in our fake solar system, right? It's easy to violate it because it's not real. But so if you look at real sunspots, amateurs that have filmed it, they show the sunspots throughout the day, a full day of filming. They'll move 90 degrees. They'll sit there and go like this, right? But if you try to find that today, if you look on YouTube or even go to websites like Odyssey that we think aren't filtered, they are. You can't find them anymore. But I have all these great evidences that I can't show because I don't know whose it is, and they might ding me just like my fellow flat earthers, right, who are out there dinging me every chance they get. And YouTube has scrubbed those or put them so far down in the results that you will never, ever get to them, ever.
What's
I
the
think personally.
Yeah, go ahead, Stewart. Sorry.
No, go on, Angelica. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to ask a technical question. What's the protocol? Because I see some people doing it on other videos of if you speed up the replay or slow it down, then that doesn't qualify you for an infringement of sort. Is that accurate or not?
I think you're still stealing, quote unquote, right? It's not in the Creative Commons. You're hiding it.
I personally think,
but
though,
if they find
I personally think, though, Bobby, that particular experience that you experienced there with, I assume it's the one and only experience you've had where he's tried to strike. I think that, because, I mean, there are a lot of flat earthers out there that if you see good content that you want to use and share, that they would not have any qualms. And I'd have to say a good 90% of true flat earthers out there, that if you saw some material that you thought, that is good research or whatever, and you wanted to use it, they would not have any qualms. I mean, I've used many of the likes of Eric Dubay's, Jeranism's, David Wise. I've used a lot of their material and never ever had an issue with it.
But the thing of it is,
I think that one particular, I don't know. I wouldn't let it affect you.
Well, it's just like, so what I did was but here's the thing. If I risk it, I risk a strike. 3 strikes, you're out. My content's gone, right? I'm already 1 down. I get 2 more strikes. So I'm like,
your whole content doesn't go though, does it? As far as YouTube's concerned.
Oh, your channel goes. Yeah, everything goes.
You only get a suspension, don't you?
I think 3 strikes and you're out. I could be wrong about that. I believed it's. I mean, why do you think Taboo Conspiracy is on Taboo Conspiracy 3?
Right. Well,
he went through 1 and 2 already. Right. They don't stop you from creating a new channel, or maybe they do, and he's done it under.
Yeah. I mean, I presume obviously have you got the facilities of generating your own platform?
Well, you mean your own my own content, right?
Your own content, your own platform, where eventually, I mean, okay, it takes a bit to get it generated. Get it out there, but
I can film stars too, but now I got my workload and expenses. Like I just bought, because I don't want to use other people's gyroscope experiments because my friends don't accept them, right? They go, no, your buddy's faking it. He bought a $500. He wants to be a flat earther. He wants people to not like him. He wants to be socially, ostracized. So he bought a gyroscope and tampered with it to make it not show drift. That's their logic. And they will only believe it if it comes from me. At least he says that. So my friend said, if you do the experiment, I will entertain it. So even then he's telling me, if I go out and take, so he will not entertain the black swan. He won't entertain any videos that show greater than 3 miles. He's like, because one day I said, just do the math, please do the math. So he does the math and he comes back and he agrees with me. He did some research. He says, okay, person of 6 foot shouldn't see over roughly 3 miles, whatever, 8 inches per mile squared. So I said, but we're seeing sometimes 200 miles, right? We had that Pic Gaspard that was on. We used to have there used to be a website that had the world's farthest photography. It was a championship, right? And this was out there years ago. That went down, right? Coincidentally, it just went away. And you had you had photographs that were 200 miles on the perfect day. It was like, this is a one-off shot, but they weren't flat earthers. These are just people competing to get the longest photography. And all those photos now, if you didn't archive them, they're gone. And even if you did archive them, now you can't say, you have no proof of where it came from. And someone's going to go, nah, a flat earther made it. They took an incredible amount of time and effort and money, and they made it because that's logic. So now I have to go out and spend all my money, and I have to buy gyroscopes and, expensive cameras, and I have to sit out at night and I have to film the stars, and I have to go to the ocean, and I have to prove to them that this person didn't go out and fake a video, because everyone that goes there sees it. Everyone, it's not just that professor. That professor was the first, but anyone. Benz went there from Taboo Conspiracy. And all these people can go there and film it. They're going to get the same exact results. And I know I will too. But he won't entertain it. Excuse me. He won't entertain it until I do it myself, because those people are, and that logic right there just fries my brain, right? I can't, how can you argue with that?
The psyche behind that, it seems to be maybe a macrocosm of complete gaslighting. And I know that's a term that gets tossed around, but if you think of the people that are often naturally best at proving beyond a doubt, they come up with details, whether it's to show that their boyfriend's cheating or that this crime happened or whatever, those best detectives or presenters of information or investigators have often had quite the substantial run-in with a narcissistic either entity or person, right? Because they're constantly like, I can prove. So you think of things to prove yourself that most other people would not even consider, such as, oh, were you home this day? Yes, I can, because I showed the variances in my electric bill. Like, who would think of that, right? So those type of things. And what I believe your commitment, Bobby, is possibly a version of, because we know our government and everyone that is its little minions is just this big ball of narcissistic gaslighting. Like, oh, there's no way. And so by nature, we become these ultra investigator provers of point. Now, does that mean that the person who's gaslighting us and like, yeah, you're right. They're always going to come behind with a, well, maybe that isn't. But at least in the meantime, you are, like you said, archiving this proof that then to the average person looking from an outsider who's not in that cycle of government banter, and I say government because we know that that's the source of where all this is coming from. But at least in the process, you are having investigative ways that dig deeper than what most casual observers are going to have. So I think that's probably a good residual effect of having someone that's constantly like, I'm not going to quite believe that, or maybe, because it sends you down a path that will pave the way for someone else.
Along those lines, I've got this massive, I'd venture to say I possibly have one of the most extensive libraries of evidence. And I've got it, you've seen it. I sent you the drive, Angelica. I don't know if you ever opened it, but anyway, what I do is I take hard drives and send them to my friends because I'm afraid one day my house will burn down or something, right? So I've sent it to Angelica, I sent it to Renard, I sent it to my buddy Sean, I've sent it to my buddy Dennis, I will send these things out. If you just tell me you're remotely interested, or I'll send it out. And the reason is, I work for a Fortune 100 company I get high-end server equipment all the time. A few months ago, they decommissioned a SAN system that had like 200 drives in it, and every drive was a 4 gigabyte drive, right? So I've got stacks of 4 gigabyte drives, and they're 7,200 RPM. I mean, it's not the best in the world, but I'm sending out free backups, right? I'm making sure they're all over the place. If something happens to mine, I can reach out to a friend and go, hey, can you send me that thing back? But every once in a while, I'll send out a new one to another friend. So I have all these backups all over the world. And at the same time, they can cruise through them and educate themselves. So, and now I'm getting into videos. I want to take my library. Although I started getting these videos and I realized once that it's hard to use your library. So now whenever I do a flat earth search, I don't entertain videos that aren't in the Creative Commons. You can filter by Creative Commons. So I only let myself see stuff that's Creative Commons. And when I see a good video, I download it, I save it, it's Creative Commons. I don't have to worry. I add that extension to my video and I know I can use it in my content. So there's enough content on YouTube. If that's all you watch, I know that I'm saving stuff I can use now.
Smart.
But there's some really great stuff out there I can't use, and that's frustrating.
Talking about using something, can I just interject a bit of a laugh here? Sorry, I'm just thinking about it. It's cracking me up. But don't know if you watched. Has anybody seen the latest piss take that Jeranism did?
The latest channel mistake?
No, piss take.
Sorry. Yeah, English slang there. Go ahead.
Sorry. He did a comedic. I don't know if you watched one of Dave Wise and Jeranism had a video once, and they got a video sent in to him by this Globey, and he's ranting on about you flirts, blah blah blah, you flirts, you believe in this. But I've got this video queued up, and I'm damn you won't get a strike for it if I share it, because it's one of Jeranism's and it's one that he made himself. And
share it. Go ahead, we'll try. Share it.
It's absolutely hilarious. But what he's done is taken the audio from this video that they were sent, and he's used a filter on it to give himself a funny face and everything. So you got to understand that this is Jeranism doing this.
This is what makes Jeranism so entertaining.
Yeah. But hold on. Have I got share screen facilities? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You should.
Right. One sec. For some reason I can't share that particular screen. Hold on.
While he's looking, Angelica, I don't know if you're a fan of Jeranism. I don't know. He has a channel. It's called Jeranism. The guy's name is Jeran, and a Jeranism. That's pretty cool. But he's a really intellectual dude, and where he really excels intellectually is in comedy. He could have been a comedian, but obviously he's intellect, and he puts a comedic spin on on all the stuff he does. It's really, oh, here we go. This looks good. Good.
Sorry, it's what? It's 3 minutes, just short. Well, 10 minutes short, 4 minutes.
Yeah. All right. So we can handle it.
If you've not seen this, I just thought I'd interject a little bit of comedy into the evening. But
make sure the volume's up so we can hear it.
Yeah, just tell me if you can.
Flurfs, you flat Earth motherfuckers.
Can you hear the audio?
The Earth is a fucking globe, an oblate spheroid, you dumb fucks. Stop trying to prove that it's flat, you stupid assholes. Get some education and some fucking common sense. And you assholes that talk about the flat Earth, why'd you go up in a goddamn rocket ship? There is no flat Earth. I don't know what the hell is going on with these flirts, but it's getting fucking tiring to listen to this bullshit. Education, people. Stop being fucking stupid. Flirts are goddamn idiots. I'm getting confused right now. I'm fucking pissed. And the Earth is moving. It's rotating and it's moving around the sun. Because we're heliocentric. We're not geocentric, people. And we are on an oblate spheroid, where the middle of the Earth, around the equator, is slightly thicker than top to bottom and the pole to pole. You're not astrophysicist. You're not cosmologist. You're nothing. Oh, it's got this, and you take this, and you put this over here, you put the pen up the ass of this, and you swift it over here, and it proves the Earth is flat. Oh, fucking Christ. Or anything. No evidence, no proof, nothing. You can't prove it because it doesn't exist. The Earth is an oblate spheroid. Face the fact. Grow up. Get an education. Stop thinking the entire world is wrong and you're right. Time to grow up, people. Get off the flat Earth. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a flat planet. Because of the curvature of the Earth. That's why the sun sets. That's why it seems like it's getting dimmer as we are rotating away from it. Rise in the east, settle in the west. Dumb fucks. We are on a sphere. Get rid of your thoughts, get educated, and stop making loud, stupid claims. We are rotating. We are turning. You can't feel it because it's so slow. It's a huge fucking planet, for crying out loud. It's a huge planet. Just like we're on that same plane. We're on the same planet. We're all moving at the same goddamn speed. We're all doing the same exact thing. We're not going anywhere special. You're not going to heaven. I'm not going to hell. This guy's not going to Istanbul. That guy's not going to Jamaica. We're all on the planet doing the same thing at the very same time. We are all rotating on a huge oblate spheroid. Every planet we observe is round. Why? That's because the gravity designs it that way. Pulls it in. Even the gases of fucking Jupiter are pulled into spherical shape, not flat. You try to sound intelligent, but you're not. You keep making the same goddamn statements. Oh, you can't go to the South Pole because the military complex and NASA and... oh, my fucking Lord. Instead of getting the education, why don't you actually go there? Grow up, people. Get an education. Stop following some idiot retard from Planet Zebra. No logic, no experience, no education, no proof, no fact, no evidence, nothing. You don't know more than physicists, geologists, rocket scientists, cosmologists, astrophysicists, people that study their entire life in this field, and you're going to argue with them? Get your ears straightened, get your brain on right. I'm done with this shit. You flirts are fucking retards. I'm sick of listening to it. It's comic. It's comic experience to listen to this shit. Because you don't have a clue what the hell you're talking about. End of story. Take care, folks. Happy Thanksgiving for those that are enjoying it. Day.
Oh.
I like that no going to Istanbul. That's good. That's reassuring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right there is classic Jeranism.
Oh, right? that is absolutely brilliant. But that was... Oh, sorry. Hold on. That was actually a video. If you look through, I think it's on Dave's channel. Actually, it might be on Jeran's as well. But the actual guy who sent it, he sent it to Dave. I think it was. And yeah, I mean, it's hilarious just to put the way Jeranism he did that was
did Yeah, that's hilarious. Did you ever watch the Boris and Bertha? I think I sent you Boris and Bertha. I don't know if I did. I thought I said I was going to send it to you. Maybe I did. Well, he did a skit. For me, it's one of his funniest skits. It's called Boris and Bertha. But I'm just curious. I think you're over there. On the other side of the pond from us. Is Dave Murphy pretty big over there? Has he got still got a pretty good draw?
Dave Murphy. He's got that big a draw. I can't say I've heard of him.
He's well known in the flat Earth community over here. He's from over there. He's a man. How do you say this? Hopefully, no one gets offended. And he's a colored guy.
Right. Yeah.
He's done some debates. I think he debated like a physicist too. I seem to remember there was one of the guys was a astrophysicist. He debated, but he's been on some talk shows, like a small talk show. He's been on, but now he's more. So he's less on flat Earth, although he will talk about it, and he's more on, colored people are God's chosen. They're the true children of God, right? Like he's kind of went down that road. So he kind of lost me because I really enjoyed watching his stuff, and I still do, not the new stuff. Like I still like watching the old stuff. I think if colored people, whatever you want, I don't want to offend anyone. Hopefully that's the best word I can use. But if they are God's chosen people, that's great. I don't think there's any reason to rub it in anyone's face. Like if it turns out that way and you're right, great. Yeah, I mean, you are one. So it's, I just don't think it's necessary to.
I'd be very careful with that. Not you careful, but someone else boasting that is because it depends where you are, how far down the train you are in your theology. But at one point you're going to run headfirst into the wall where it says that God is no respecter of persons and that any salvation you received is a gift. And if it were of works, that can't be, lest any man would boast. And so even nationality wise, there's no salvation or no favoritism to anyone. Otherwise, by human nature, we would boast in it. So someone who's boasting in their abilities or skills, their skin, their DNA, anything other than that, I would hope that they get a nudge back on the main road with that.
Yeah. Well, he also, took a stand against Christianity. So he believes in the Torah or the Pentateuch, whatever you want to call it, but he doesn't believe in, the Old Testament, but he doesn't believe in Christianity. So he thinks, anyway, I don't want to go to that road. I don't want to make it biblical. Let's stay on flat Earth. I apologize for accidentally bringing that up, but I was curious.
No, it answered, like I say, it answered your question over here. I personally, I'll have to look him up, but yeah, I've not heard of him.
He gets a lot of attention over here. So
right.
Go ahead, Angelica.
Well, when you had asked Stewart, is on the other side of the pond, I was going to share with you because I know we're all in very different demographics as nature, but I was going to give you my window view. I don't know if you'll be able to see it with any reflection coming out.
What about you, Angelica?
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Isn't that beautiful? You know what? Hold on, I'm gonna do one step further. Hopefully,
that's like a Christmas card. A Christmas card.
It is. It snowed over a foot today. Let me do the less energy efficient thing and open up my door here so you can see it fully. That's how much it's snowing.
Gorgeous. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Lovely. Yeah.
Angelica, you've actually went outside and basically ran into a bear before, right?
Oh, no, not run into a bear. So I'm right here in my bedroom and right here's outside my window. I'm going to say shot at a bear because my gun got jammed, but I shot like right underneath here on my front door, there's a bear paw. So I'm going to put this on the other side of the window. So pretend this is my front door. There's a bear paw like that, where if I would not have locked my door, it would have been in my kitchen. Now, mind you, that's in fall when I brought my bee boxes in. So I'm sure it was like, why'd you take my honey? But yeah, no, there's 4 or 5 different bears that I can distinctively see because they have different color coats and whatnot, but they'll be in a tree and I'll go outside and it's like we're both got busted. I'm like, oh, this is stupid. And he'll be looking at me and I'll be looking at him like one of us has got to move. so between like me and the tree or something like that. But yeah, that's how's the weather you guys are? Not, I'm sure not like that.
Cozy.
But what do you guys on? Cozy. And what do you got, Stewart?
Yeah, very, 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 very icy and cold.
icy and
very
cold.
not,
Yeah.
yeah. That's beautiful. That the snow and
Isn't
everything.
it gorgeous?
I'd much prefer that than it like it is now, where you're going out to the car in the morning. It's just thick with ice on the windows. You got to clean your car down and everything. I mean, I don't mind scraping snow off.
Yeah.
Getting snow, but it's when it's icy and cold and no, it's horrible at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, here's the thing. Real quickly, I said Dave Murphy, which is his name, but he's more commonly known as allegedly Dave. Like that was really the moniker that he had more. You can look up either Dave Murphy or you can look up allegedly Dave, but he gets a lot of. He's in he gets invited to conferences here. He speaks all the time. I think his kind of, from a flat Earth standpoint, his popularity is kind of waning because he's what I've seen is in the UK where he's from. I think it's the UK. He's really now been focusing on destroying Jesus. I don't want to say anything negative about him, but that's where he kind of he's going that way route now, and more about the chosen race, right?
Even with that other name, no, I'm none of the wiser. I'm none of the wiser over here. No, I've not heard of him. But
all right,
somebody to sort of like look into, and because one thing I really want someone or something to set up over here, like you over there. Where did you say you were, Angelica? Are you on the West Coast?
Yeah, I'm in Washington State, about an hour from Canada.
Right, and you're on the East Coast, aren't you, Bobby?
We're about as far apart as possible. Her and I, the three of us are a big triangle because
you're just above Florida, aren't you? Above Florida there. Yeah. Like you say, we're probably in a big triangle here.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? If we can catch the refraction on just the right thing, we might be able to go outside and wave to each other. If it's a clear day.
That's right.
Well, yeah. If it's flat, why can't we see each other? Why can't we see each other? Oh, well, I was reading one of those today, and it was absolutely comical. That why can't you see China from New York?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, just when you look at the weather, right? You go to weather.com. One of the readings you get with your weather is visibility. It'll say like 6 miles. That's an average visibility, right? Exactly. I was watching that fighter pilot talk about it, and he says, the most you could see is maybe 12 miles, maybe because air has particles in it. It has dirt, it has dust, it has
that's probably
water.
That's probably X miles up in the thinnest of the atmosphere. When you're down here on the ground, the thickest of atmospheres.
Guys, I'm going to take responsibility for the reason that we can't all stand outside and wave to each other is because I'm only 5'2", and I think those measurements do go off of a 6-foot person. My bad. It's my fault completely.
You're over
right. How tall are you, Bobby?
I'm 6'4".
Oh, you're
I'm up there. Yeah.
I'm 6'1", so I'm not that far.
It's my guys. I'm sorry.
You're over, right. You're too little. Get yourself and stand on a crate.
We'll have to do.
Then we'll be able to wave to each other. I'm sure though between us, we've got to be able to do some form of experiment. Being in a triangle like we pretty much are.
Yeah.
There must be. Get our heads together. We must be able to do some form of experiment to prove this.
I've got some flares I could send up. I think that's the best I could do.
We're coming up on 2 hours, which I like to. I try to keep them under 2 hours, but we'll go out talking about one last thing, unless something else pops up real quick. We still got 13 minutes. We could stretch it out to if we want to, but most nights, probably 9 out of 10, I stay up watching arguments so I can learn, right? I'm, flat earth arguing, and I assess myself. I come up with experiments. I'll do my own experimentation. For me, it's already been crushed. It's settled, but we must be fluid, right? And we have to be true scientists. The science never ends, right? So even though I have a belief, I keep doing experiments. I keep doing science. I know there's a creator that will never change, but wits it, right? I recently I'd seen him before. Like I'd seen him popping up on Facebook groups or on YouTube, and you know, kind of coming up a little bit. The guy had some good arguments, and I was like, oh, you know, you realize when you see someone, you're like, that guy's smart. Glad he's on our team. Recently, his game has turned into straight fire, and I would, you know, I try to turn everyone onto him. I'm like, watch this guy. This guy is straight. It's nice when whoever I'm sending them to, other equally intelligent people to me, right, recognize that they're outdone intellectually, right? Like there's not much room for argument that this guy is superior. You know, clearly you're superior intellect. This guy
he has his specialism though, doesn't he? He has his specialism as well.
Every science so if you watch, and I've watched a fair amount of him right now. They try to pin him on science that they would just, that's what they try to do. They try to pin him on, they're like, well, this guy can't know this. This guy can't know this obscure 40-year-old physicist or whatever. And the guy is well read, and he doesn't just skim. He reads everything, right?
Oh, yeah,
and to take it a step further, to have the knowledge he has today, clearly, he has to comprehend very quick because he moves on to new knowledge. To be so well versed in so many subjects, the guy has an excellent memory. He has a great capacity to understand. That much is obvious. So I like turning people on to him. But great video in my opinion. I absolutely loved it. He did one called Destroying Globers. That was the last video he did. He did that yesterday. I mean, when I went to bed, it said it was like 4 hours old. So I watched Destroying Globers, and he had McToon on with that physicist. I forget his name because he's irrelevant to me. But the Philip, McToon. You can't help but remember his name. He's McToon. Anyway, they had a segment where they were trying to destroy Witsit. So they had taken the first debate, and they made a video where they were calling out what they considered to be all of Witsit's mistakes. And then Witsit picked apart their destroying his mistakes. And he absolutely destroyed. He showed the deception in every single point they made. And it was so obvious. Like you'd have to be a clown, or you've just made up your mind that you hate this guy because of what he's saying, what he stands for. And you're watching the guy who are arguing with him, and you're like, well, because I know we're right and he's wrong, even though he makes better points, we'll laugh at whatever thing we can, right? But every single thing that they said, his concept, he won every concept. And even the things
they were also, I watched the same video, but they were so contradictory to themselves on many of occasion, which he highlighted.
But they'll sit there and rip him on something where he'll say he's given his own example. He'll say, he's talking about a magnet, and he calls the plane, he calls it a plane, and they're like, they'll stop it and go, this idiot, it's not a plane. There's not a plane in between the two, hemispheres of a magnetic field. And then they'll play it. And after they ripped him, and he'll go, it's not actually a plane, but if you think about it, it works like, and then but they'll ignore that and keep going. And this was on every subject, every single subject. They could not shut him down. What he was, the message he was making. They could never argue his message. They always argued, it might as well get down to his English, right? They're like, he keeps saying bruh, or whatever. I'm like, what does that matter? If now we're not allowed to, that's all you've got is that the guy uses colloquialisms. That's it. That's what it's come down to. That's your whole argument now.
When you're teaching, I'll go back to martial arts or any sort of class really, but I know that's a language that we're familiar with. The difference between, when people come in, new students, and they don't want to pay, or they're trying to down talk, everyone gets those, right? Like, I could learn this at home or learn it from a book. It brings me back. Do you remember the Taboo days with Billy Blanks, and you'd pop in the VHS tape and a 1 and a 2? And I always refer, if they're old enough to get that reference, I refer them back to that. I said, well, what's the difference between popping in a Billy Blanks Taboo tape and coming to class? And I say, here's the difference is in class, I can give you feedback, or someone can give you feedback. In a tape, you're only gleaning off what you want. And I believe that possibly has a common denominator with the fact that people will want to debate in small sound bites, but they balk at the idea of a conversation, because in a conversation or even a debate that allows for interaction, there's that feedback that they're likely not prepared for. They would rather pop in a VHS tape and take little short sound bites off of that than to have that back and forth interaction where correction is allowed. And I think if they don't allow for that correction, they feel safe. But that, I would assume, is the psyche behind why they don't just let a person talk or engage in that feedback type of environment.
Yeah, we got Parker Mislin just dropped some hearts on us. She goes by, she has a channel called Uncool Paranoia, which I want to try to get her on. I wanted to get her on this weekend as well, but hopefully we'll be able to get her on soon. She has a channel. She drops some knowledge too. I haven't had a chance to talk to her yet, but we'll get to pick her brain eventually. So thanks for dropping in. Much love to you, sister. What else? Yeah, so Austin Witsit gets it. If you're watching this and you're halfway you're on the fence or something, here's another good thing. On same subject, I don't think we're skipping subjects. So you all know Professor Dave has debated. He debated Dave Weiss. He's debated Kent Hovind. He's debated some. Those debates end up making to the top of YouTube, right? But he doesn't destroy the people. Instead, he always uses venues where they control it, and it's like 3 of them that get to attack, and they get to make fun of and use derogatory statements, and they don't win arguments. Instead, they bully. Right. That
showed Atwood. That was a perfect example of that. That was a setup.
Yeah, it's all a setup, right? So Witsit has been calling out Professor Dave. He's like, hey, why don't you take on me, right? Let's have a, and so Professor Dave said, no, I don't want to make you famous, right? This is 3 years ago. And Witsit's like, no, make me famous. Come on, I dare you. And so this got rekindled. That physicist who clearly lost the argument and was, had his tail between his legs and butthurt as butthurt could be, he goes to Professor Dave and says, hey, let's rekindle this. Why don't we get you now that this guy doesn't need, he's obviously got his own degree of respect now in the community. He says, let's get you, why don't you go smash, Austin Witsit? Well, Professor Dave's like, okay, we'll do it on McToon's channel, right? And it's like, no, we're not going to have, you've got 3 moderators that are all globe earthers. That's not fair. And Austin goes back and says, I'll do it for free on a neutral channel. On a neutral venue, I'll do it for free, no charge. Well, they come back and they say, well, $5,000 if you do it on McToon. And he says, man, why don't you just do it on a neutral channel? I just want a neutral channel. It's no one I know, no one just someone that's not in the flat earth game. There is a debate. I forget the name of it, but it's a very popular debate channel. And the guy is always very fair. And that's why his debate channel is very popular. I've watched it before. But he says, let's do it on this channel or this venue, or whatever you want to call it. And they come back and they say, no, we won't do it on that one, but we'll give you $10,000 to do it. 10,000, right? So they keep upping the ante, and Austin's like, why can't you just do it on a neutral channel? You want to pay me so you can, because here's another thing. If they have the rights, if it's on a anti-flat earth channel, they have the rights to the content and they can edit it however they want. So Austin can say something and Professor Dave can say something later, and they can compile it however they want because they own the content. And Austin's already ran into this in the past, is where he might make a rebuttal and they'll strike his rebuttal because they own the video. So he's like, if it's neutral, they both get to, edit their rebuttals on their channels. So he won't. So Professor Dave is scared. He has his tail between his legs. I think everyone should know that. All my buddies that are watching that are like, oh, Professor Dave, this guy you put up on a pedestal, he's afraid. He's afraid. The guy you put on the pedestal is afraid. He admits that he admits that he does not write his content. He's also an admitted non-professor. He's not a professor, and he's been busted that he can't even do basic math because he said the 8 inches per mile squared was false, and they tested that on all 3 different math. I think there's 3. Could be wrong. I'm not a math expert, but you have Euclidean math. You have several different types of math, right? And they used every basic type of math, And it was accurate out to 2,000 miles, which has always been the claim. No flat earther says, we understand that 8 inches per mile squared is the parabola, and that it can only go so far before it loses accuracy. But up to roughly 2,000 miles, it is, for all intents and purposes, it's dead on. So anyone watching this that is on the fence or sits there and wants to parrot Professor Dave, just know that guy will not battle Austin Whitsitt. He wants no piece of Austin Whitsitt. He cannot take him on in a fair setting. So,
well, that takes us right back to those martial art gyms that beat into their students' head. We do not compete outside of our own system. It's a scary world out there. So we only compete here. And at some point you have to realize that it's because the instructor's afraid, not that there's anything out there that you should be afraid of. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think like say, I think Dave admitted Dave Wise admitted to a certain extent that he regretted that interview. But having said that, he also said that it's boosted him up, as in it's one of the top.
Yeah, I mean,
searches now.
I think Dave Weiss is a great speaker for Flat Earth, and he does a great job, and he makes great. And honestly, you can find the truth through him alone, right? Like, or Jeranism or ODD TV. If you just have an open mind and look at their content, when the cloud opens, it's clear to see the truth. The problem is when you go up against someone like Professor Dave, who, in my belief, has probably the greatest scientific minds, who are, in my belief, know they're lying, but they're creating the most paradoxical straw man arguments, and that's what they're defending with, right? Just a perfect example of that is that one that he always uses, where you can be on 3 different, not quadrants, but I don't know what you call a third, right? Not a quadrant, but whatever that is, of the globe. And you can see the southern stars, right? That doesn't work on a flat earth. You see the same southern stars. It doesn't work on a flat earth. What he fails to mention is that you can't do that at the same time. And that would be the proof, right? Like if you did it at the same time, you're like, yeah, then it's definitely a ball. But we have a spinning firmament, and those stars are in the firmament, and that's what we observe. So if nighttime's 8 hours later over there, and the firmament has rotated over there, then yeah, you're going to see the same stars, right? Like he didn't tell you that. He intentionally, he knows that's a straw man argument. And that's why I believe he's a deceiver, and I'm confident in that belief. So we are at 2 hours.
We are.
With 8 viewers that stuck it out. We have 8. I don't know if you guys, I don't know what you got. Do you guys see what I see? Do you see like the number of viewers? And I have no idea what you all see.
No.
Well, I'm watching the other way I know the viewers is 6 watching now, and I'm just watching the YouTube live stream.
So we have other channels, and Studio shows me all the channels combined. So we have, and they can all message me. I have a chat thing on this right side and they do, but I don't always post, because sometimes it's like a bot will jump in or something. But I'm on a
cell phone, so I can only see the most rudimentary of everything. So
I also have an OCD. Angelica, I've got OCD where cell phones are concerned. If you've got an auto flip, can you just turn your phone sideways so it's landscape as opposed to portrait?
I don't think it'll switch. I'm curious if it will. I don't think
Let me see.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Hey.
Do you know, I have OCD where that's concerned. Anybody
here's
the mobile.
Here's the bad news. I gotta switch it back. You know why? Because my charger cord doesn't reach that far.
Oh, right.
I'm backwoods here. Yeah. I'll know that for next time then.
No, but it's a weird thing with me, that OCD. You've got a mobile, landscape it, and you'll come full screen, and it's like.
Look at you holding out to the very end to tell me that.
It wasn't. It was just the back end. Back end. I just thought I mentioned it. It's just I always mention that if I'm talking to someone like on my stream, or if I'm just on a normal Zoom meeting with someone, I'll say, just flip your phone. Just flip your phone sort of like horizontal, and I just want to see it. It flips it.
We'll write this one out, and I'll do it on the next one.
Yeah, no problem. Also, while I've got the mic here at the moment, if I send you a quick link via, and I'm talking to you, Bobby, here. If I send you, I want to try this out. I just want to think of, you know, when we were talking about my clock that I have behind me here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to send you a link if you wouldn't mind. And I've sent it you through Facebook Messenger. I've just sent it you through Facebook Messenger. I'd be interested to find out. We're on about that clock. Now, that clock is in a browser on my server. What I would like, if you feel open to doing it now, I'd like to know, is it telling your time as it is on your side of it?
Let's see. UK hosting here.
Did you get the link?
It is showing 3, 4, 5. It's showing my time. Yeah.
Oh, that's that. Right. Excellent. Right. I didn't.
Cool.
That was just an experiment. I wanted to know, would it change to the time zone of where the browser opened it up at? Yeah, that's brilliant. That particular one there is on my server, and that's the one I'm using as a browser.
I don't know if you know, but all your I think that's cool that you give those guys credit. I love that. That in behind you, kind of like above your head, the Hibbeler and all these guys.
Yeah.
But it's all backwards. It's all, I don't know if you know it, but it's
is it backwards?
The words are all coming up backwards. Yeah.
Stewart, you and I are a hot mess.
Just one sec.
Yeah. Everything's backwards. So I've been watching this the whole time, and I was like, "That's pretty cool, man." In the bottom of all my videos, I give all these guys credit. I think they deserve the glory, quote unquote. I'm not. Right, it's not my goal.
Just bear with me 1 sec. I want to see that if. I didn't realize nobody's ever said that. Nobody's ever told me that before. That it's.
Yeah, it's backwards. It's backwards for me.
So if I
Stewart, you're backwards. I'm sideways.
Well,
He's the only one.
What about that?
He's our due north
now. Is that now?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, beyond the imaginary curve. Yeah, now I can read it. I can only read it because I knew, I'm familiar with them. But yeah, much easier now. Now it's correct.
Right.
All right.
Nobody's ever mentioned that to me before, but.
Speaking of hot mess, that snow's still falling for me, and I got a jet anyway because I have to shovel my roof off, and I only got about 2 more hours of daylight.
All right. Well,
yeah,
excellent.
All right,
been fantastic talking to you.
Yeah, everyone that we had 8 people actively watch. That's pretty cool. I think that's a success. Thanks for everyone who made it on, who watched. Obviously, I'm assuming you guys know how to get to these. They're under the Flat Earth and Coffee, and then you just go to live. So if you just go to YouTube, Flat Earth and Coffee, and you go to live, all our live casts are there. So if you ever want to go back and watch them, it's pretty cool.
I did on our last week's broadcast, and I was thinking about it. I thought my audio is absolutely. I was on the wrong microphone, but same again, Angelica, another one.
So
all right.
let's do it again. Parker Mislin is on. I'm hoping we can pick her brain. She has a channel, Uncool Paranoia. I'm so stoked that she dropped in. She said we're all funny. I think I'm the funniest.
I'll second that. That's good.
I'll give that one to Angelica. I'm sorry, Bobby, but I'll give that one to Angelica.
She's pretty funny. But I think a group is great. We have stories to share, and you know what? Let's just have some fun. And if she can get on, great. We'll get her on. I had a great time. Hopefully, more people keep dropping in. Hopefully, whenever you have time, we'll do it again.
If you're up for another one of these again next weekend, we can.
I'm always up. I'm addicted to this. So if you're up, I'm up. If Angelica's up, we've got another friend, another partner in crime, Renard, who will probably drop in, from time to time.
More the merrier.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to drop. That's 2 hours and 7 minutes. Yep. You guys have a good day, a good night, whatever it is. And thanks to everyone that was part of this. All right.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks a lot, guys. See you
later.
later.
Bye, everyone.
See you.